Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and along with all the films that I got to see in theaters, which I've caught up on all of them, so I have nothing to see, except Phantom Thread and The Post. Why do you have to be in New York City? I'm really tempted to just hop a train and go into the city just to see them because I don't want to wait. And if I didn't have stuff to do next weekend, I probably would do that. But back to work this week. But sorry, I digress. But along with the films that have been coming out in theaters, I've actually gotten to catch up on some films, smaller films that came out this year that are on some streaming devices. So like I got to see Columbus, which is streaming on Hulu. And this was a very small film that came out during the summer, and I wanted to check it out, but it never really came around here. And now I got a chance to see it, and I thought it was a nice, interesting little human drama. And this was written and directed by Kogonada, and it's about a young woman who's dealing with her mom being a reformed drug addict, and a young man whose dad is an architect, and he hasn't been really close with him, and he's dying, and the two of them building a bond with each other over this. And overall, I thought this film was very well directed, and I think the biggest drawback is it's very methodical in its pacing, and that can hurt it a little bit throughout the film, because this film really isn't that long to begin with, and it kind of feels like things are dragged out for the sense of like artistic value. But I think overall, I think it was well done. The pacing, as I mentioned, is a little slow, but in terms of tone, I think this is very impactful film and really hits home. And there's some really emotional moments of these two realizing some very heavy emotional things and them pushing each other and trying to figure out what they need to do with their lives. And the cinematography was done by Alicia Christian, and I think this is a really beautiful, well shot film. And the underlying thing is architecture in this film, because this town of Columbus, Indiana is known for its architecture, and there's some beautiful shots of these buildings, and you do get to actually really enjoy what these buildings look like and all the architecture that goes into it. And I really appreciated the camera work and everything, and I think that's one of the highlights of this film. And the use of lighting and everything. Now, the writing, the story, there's really no like through story in this. It's very much like these two people having conversations, and this has been done expertly well fleshed out in film. So like the Before trilogy is probably the benchmark for me of like a talking movie that doesn't really have a plot, but it's two people connecting with each other. I think this film was decently well done. Do I think it's on that level? No. But I think that I really appreciate these two characters. You really get a lot out of these two characters, which really anchors it, and trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives and where life is taking them. And honestly, the two of them calling out each other's shit, honestly, and trying to help them realize what they really want out of things and what they need to do and how to grow as people. And I think that's why the themes of this film really get fleshed out, and the dialogue in it feels very natural. And overall, I think these two actors do a really good job. The music was done by Hammock. A lot of one-name people in this film, involved in this film, and I thought the music was well done. It really fit the film. The acting, this is really a showcase for John Cho, who I've never really seen in a film quite like this, where it's a lot more dramatic, and he's not the funny guy. He isn't MILF guy number 2. I just recently watched the American Pie movies again, and he does a really good job. There's some moments where there's a thing about like understated acting, and I don't know like why it's not really my thing, where it's like it's that idea is what made Spotlight a Best Picture winner, the understated acting. And honestly, it kind of feels like if it's too understated, they don't feel like they're reacting like actual people. It's like real people wouldn't react to of course people act like that. Haven't you ever been around people? People overreact to everything, and this film gets it's a little too understated at moments, but overall I think John Cho did a really good job. And Richardson, who I've seen pop up in quite a few things now, and I think she did a really good job in this film as well. Now, overall, this is a very it's Sunday morning. Is it Sunday? It is Sunday. I keep forgetting what day it is. This is what happens when I don't have work. This is a very somber and sharp film while hitting very emotional heights. It's a nice little movie. I'm going to give Columbus a B.